Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking everything about my postpartum journey. The stretch marks I got, all the preventative measures I made towards postpartum depression, my postpartum products, everything. So if you're interested in that, keep on watching. Okay, just to give a little bit of background, I started my pregnancy 21 years old. I was 5'7" and about 130 pounds. I found out I was pregnant with identical twins April 2019. My due date was December 17th, 2019. I had HG during my pregnancy, so I did not gain weight at the beginning of my pregnancy. My belly was growing, but I was throwing up every single day, multiple times a day, doing IVs every single day to help me maintain vitamins, medication, nutrients, that kind of stuff. I did not start gaining my weight into my pregnancy until about 20 plus weeks. I ended up giving birth in October, 2 months early. So I was only pregnant for 7 months. So going into it, I gained weight, like I said, 20 weeks on. My doctor told me to, technically a healthy twin pregnancy, you gain about 50 pounds. It's healthy if you gain less, it can be healthy if you gain more, it just depends on so many different things. But for me, he said, expect to gain about 50, that's totally normal. Because of my circumstance, I gained almost 60 plus, and it was almost all in the last month due to preeclampsia. I was very steadily gaining weight after about 20 weeks until I would say 29 weeks, 28 weeks. That is when my preeclampsia started. And if you don't know what preeclampsia is, it's just a combination of a bunch of things. You get high blood pressure, you get very, very swollen, which was probably my #1 symptom. You get excess protein in your urine. There's lots of things that happen. So I knew once my swelling started to get pretty severe, that is what was going on. My healthcare providers did not necessarily believe me until it was like too late. And what I mean by too late is I was already 3 weeks into my preeclampsia and then had to deliver due to severe preeclampsia at 32 weeks. I started getting swollen and retaining that water the last 3 weeks. I gained weight fast. Up until that point, I had 0 stretch marks. So for me, it was more of just a very slow, gradual growth. And then once I did start hitting that swelling point the last month, it was very painful, very fast. So what I did in order to prevent my stretch marks at this point was I used bio oil, I used vitamin E oil, I used coconut oil. I did everything you can imagine. I did not want stretch marks. The second I found out I was having twins, I'm oiling my belly every single day. I'm doing everything I can to prevent it. I wish I had told myself that, hey, most of this is genetic. There's a lot you cannot prevent, and that's okay. It just is, every single body is different. And with me, I just couldn't drink a lot of water because I would throw it up. And so I just, drank enough. I know that if I was more hydrated, I would have had a better experience having less stretch marks. That just really was not an option for me. I did pretty much everything in the book to try to prevent stretch marks. But going into that last 3 weeks, I gained weight so rapidly that I had hundreds, I have well over 100 stretch marks on my stomach, my thighs, my butt, my boobs, my back. I have them up my back, on my hips. I mean, everywhere. Anywhere you can imagine stretch marks. I literally have them up here from when my milk was coming in. So up until the last month, I think I was about 100, I want to guess 160 pounds up until I hit a preeclampsia point. So with that last month, I think I gained over 30 pounds alone. And when that happens, it is rough on your body. And it was rough mentally. I had very, very bad body dysmorphia. And although that was something out of my control, it was very hard. Just looking in the mirror, I did not recognize anything that was being presented. My reality was not reality in my brain. I have my doctors, my family members, people just saying, you're getting so big, it's getting painful looking, you're getting swollen. And at this point, because of the preeclampsia and everything that was going on, I was on bed rest. So that did not help with the weight gain, obviously. I was on technically modified bed rest, so I could get up, go to the bathroom, shower, change a load of laundry, but I was on like modified bed rest, so I was not up and around doing much. I had to quit my job. What I did at this point for my stretch marks that were happening very rapidly, very painfully, was I was taking oatmeal baths every night, where I would just take a cup of oatmeal and I would just sprinkle it over the hot water or warm water and just soak in it, and that temporarily relieved kind of the pain and itching and helps me sleep better at night. Okay, so when I gave birth, I was almost 200 pounds. I think I was about 195-ish. And I had an emergency C-section. After that C-section, the 2 to 3 days afterwards, I was literally peeing gallons of water. I knew that was because of the water I was retaining because of my preeclampsia. I just was peeing and peeing and peeing. It literally felt like gallons and gallons and gallons. And even though I was super sore, every time I would get up, I just like felt lighter. I don't know how everyone's postpartum experience is totally different, but for me, that was a sign that things were gonna get better. I immediately wore a waist trainer. Some people call them waist trainers or belly bands or supportive waist band. I don't know what they're called, but I was given one by the hospital, and I also brought my own, and I actually wore both of them on top of each other because I know ab muscles at that point that I needed that in order to sit up and pump and go to the bathroom. So I strongly recommend them. Even if you're not getting a C-section, they're so good for just squeezing everything in, giving you that support. That is like my #1 postpartum product, for at least for me, since I didn't have any like vaginal disturbance. I still bled. Like with the, I think that's a common misconception that with a C-section you don't have any like postpartum issues down there, but yes, you bleed, you can get hemorrhoids, all that stuff. So it's also comes along with the C-section. And I do feel like that ultimately like brought my ab muscles back together quicker. So I wore that every single night for at least a month, and I wore it during the day pretty much every day 2 weeks postpartum. As far as my stretch marks go, my stretch marks were so bad when I gave birth that I'll put the picture in the thumbnail, but right after I gave birth, my stomach literally looked like a cheese grater. My skin was stretched out, my stretch marks were bright purple, and it just was so textured. It almost looked gritty on my stomach. And I will say, spoiler alert, it gets better. That picture I think was taken a week postpartum, as my stomach had kind of deflated a little, but I was still, those stretch marks were still so fresh. It just looked so horrible. Just seeing that in the mirror, I was like, holy crap. This is awful. I can never wear a two-piece again. I started doing it at that point was just making sure I was moisturized when I got out of the shower, just making sure that that never got dry or sunburned or anything weird. I just tried to like really keep my stomach for what it was intact. I did breastfeed and pump for 3 months. So those 3 months I was constantly moisturizing my chest to make sure that those stretch marks did not get worse, because your boobs will grow a lot if you're breastfeeding or when your milk comes in. My postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, it came for a few reasons, in my opinion. My twins were in the NICU for a month, and that was an extremely hard time. There were good things about it. A good thing about them being in the NICU is I definitely had time to heal from my birth. And that was one thing where I was able to, you know, go home, sleep, mentally kind of prepared to bring them home. With that being said, I was pumping 10 times a day while they were in the NICU, and that was very mentally hard, pumping milk for a baby that was not there. And I can do a whole video on like my breastfeeding and pumping and formula journey, because I did all three. So I have perspective of the pros and cons of each one. I think that had a lot to do with my postpartum depression. Also, bringing home 2 fragile babies in the middle of flu season, a month later corona happening, and having babies with premature lungs, having twins, having a new baby, being a new mom. I think social media did play a lot into it, good and bad. I did see a lot of realistic things that gave me hope and made me feel like I was being understood, but then I saw so many just like picture perfect things that was really frustrating for me. A lot of it for me came out in frustration and anxiety. It was not necessarily depression. I was sad, but I mean, everyone kind of gets those baby blues. It was more anxiety about my boys and more just outwards like aggression. I'll just say that I would get frustrated super easily with my husband. I would get frustrated with other people. It kind of manifested itself that way. So let's fast forward 7 months. I am 8 months postpartum right now. I still am dealing with a little bit of postpartum anxiety. I kind of have anxiety overall, so I don't know how much of it is like my regular anxiety versus my postpartum anxiety. As far as my body, I do feel like I am back my new normal. I know we're like hearing that term all the time, but like to me, it is my new normal. I do have stretch marks. My body is very different. I feel the most myself at this point. I am 135 pounds as of right now. I feel like the majority of my weight loss did come from pumping. I pumped so much for those first 3 months. I feel like that was so crucial for me because it does burn so many calories. I do formula feed now, so I could technically still be like losing the weight, but I'm not. I feel like just me being all over the place with my boys is keeping me pretty active. But I'll show you, I can post some pictures too of like what my body looks like right now, but I'll just show you. This is what I look like. I'm on my knees. This is my postpartum stomach. I am still very loose. As you can tell, I still have stretch marks, but my ab muscles are definitely back together. That's the one thing too, is it's come back together fairly well. I'm still wrinkly. I still am like pretty loose. I'm very happy with how my body has recovered, I would say. 8 months postpartum. So that is just a little taste of my journey with postpartum. You know you're gonna have a C-section. The things that I would recommend getting would probably be a waist trainer, 100%. High-waisted, like granny panties, high-waisted underwear, because you do not want a waistband on your incision. Some sort of robe or like loose pajamas, because you will be in the hospital for like 4 to 5 days usually, and you don't want to be in a gown that whole time. I just wanted to be in like a robe or like pajamas that were comfortable. I didn't really like the hospital underwear and pads. I did like just getting like the adult diapers at the store. They were just more comfortable for me. I'm trying to think. I think that's all that I would just off the top of my head recommend, besides just normal, you know, hospital things, phone charger, chapstick, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'm posting content pretty regularly, and I'm just trying to grow my channel and help other moms, and I would love your support. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.